This is Tim. Tim doesn't really have much going on in his life. He usually spends his days playing games online. So one day, his mom got sick of this, took his computer away, and told him to get a job. Tim thought that this wasn't really a bad idea, and so on the next day, he opened up a small store where he initially sold 6 cookies at $5 each.
Let's pause for a moment and look at the situation in more detail. Tim sold 6 cookies at the price of $5 each. Therefore, the total revenue that he gained was $30. We can arrange this equation to see that by dividing total revenue by quantity sold, we get the average revenue per unit sold to be $5, which is the same as the price. Another important variable to keep in mind is marginal revenue. Marginal revenue is defined as the extra revenue that a firm gains when it sells one more unit of production. It can be calculated by dividing change in total revenue by the change in quantity sold.
Let's get back to Tim. He's so excited that he made $30 that he now plans on baking 12 cookies in order to make twice as much money tomorrow. Sure enough, he bakes 12 cookies, but to his surprise, he still sells the same number of cookies as he did before. This is because the quantity of cookies demanded has not changed. The only way he can directly impact the quantity of cookies demanded would be to change the price he's selling them at. This all comes down to one of the most basic laws of microeconomics. At lower prices, more quantity of a good is demanded by the market.
Therefore, it is important that we understand the concept of the price elasticity of demand, which is defined as the measure of the responsiveness of the quantity demanded of a good to changes in its price. Recall that PED changes as we move across the demand curve, going from elastic to inelastic. When PED is greater than 1, it makes sense to decrease price, as a decrease in price would be followed by a proportionally higher increase in quantity sold. Therefore, marginal revenue would be positive. When PED is less than 1, you would lose revenue by decreasing price, as a decrease in price would be followed by a proportionally lower increase in quantity sold. Therefore, marginal revenue would be negative.
This is exactly what happened to Tim. After lowering his prices to $4, he sold 2 more cookies, raising his total revenue to $32. Therefore, PED and marginal revenue were positive. As he was excited by this trend, he quickly lowered his price to $2, and even though he sold 12 cookies, his total revenue had fallen to $24, which means that PED and marginal revenue were negative. Therefore, we can come to a conclusion on revenue maximization by plotting graphs for both total revenue and marginal revenue. By combining these graphs, we see that revenue is maximized when PED equals 1 and marginal revenue equals 0. Using this information, Tim can maximize his profit and finally achieve his dreams.